to go ahead. There we go. That's our cue to get started. Well, hello again. Welcome, everyone. So just to introduce myself to y'all who I haven't met yet, my name is Kyle Lank. I'm from New Jersey. I go to Rutgers University, and I'm serving as this year's Circle K International President. We also have on the call tonight, Leah Reiser, our International Vice President, Jeff Harris, who you all know is our CKI Director, Sam Wagner, our CKI Program Specialist, and Michelle Shilton. I got it right? Michelle Shilton, who is our operations programs. Got you. I'm still learning the titles. You know, I've only been in the role for 6 months. I'm still learning titles. So we're gonna get started with some updates first. Like I mentioned before, just a quick rundown of some things to keep you all updated. The first thing, so we changed the name of our convention. So last advisor call, we talked about convention, our international convention. We talked about, how we can improve the name and how can we get better attendance. And one of the things that people brought up was changing the name from CKX because, to be honest, no one knows what CKX is. It has a, weird name. So we're going back to Circle K International Convention with the caveat that, when you ask your school for funding and when you ask your Kiwanis clubs for funding, that you include a leadership and educational piece, and we're going to come up with what that is. So it'll be something along the lines of Circle K International Convention, a service, leadership, and education experience. That way, when you all ask for funding, your schools are more likely to understand what CKI or ICON is, and understand, what y'all will be doing, in Austin, Texas this year.
And this was something that was, again, suggested on our last call with this group. So we thank you for that. It's a great idea and hope it'll make applying for funding to send students to the event even easier.
Yeah, and then the second change that we made based on our last advisor call, so people have brought up that the name faculty advisor was too exclusive because a lot of our advisors in colleges on campus are actually staff members, not even faculty members. So we went through and we changed the name of faculty advisor to now faculty staff advisor to encompass all of our advisors who serve on our campuses. And really for new advisors, when we charter clubs, so we can get better, people that are interested, people that want to be engaged with CKI, whether they're a faculty member or whether they're a staff member. And this was a change, again, brought up at our last advisor call. So as you can tell, we listen to y'all and we want y'all's opinion on stuff because, we're working to implement it throughout the organization. Do you have anything to add, Jeff?
No, I think, again, I don't know if you all have any comments on that or, unmute yourselves or if there's other things like that you think we should be looking at. We'll talk about that throughout the evening. But again, we appreciate it. It was a quick fix that we made. And again, thank you to those who suggested it.
And we also have our elections coming up. So as you all know, club elections take place usually January, February, maybe March. And, we're willing and we want to help y'all. So we have some resources for your clubs that you all can utilize. If Jeff, you want to share your screen and show those. And yes, Jeff, you have screen sharing permission.
Yes, 1 second, let me get there. So if you go to our website under resources, let me get there. Are you able to see my screen, Kyle?
No.
Okay.
I think.
Sorry, technical difficulty.
Hey, Jeff.
Okay, yeah, we'll show it. Yeah. We have technical difficulties. Jeff, after the call, we'll sit and we'll have a Zoom tutorial. I can walk through how to use Zoom. Yeah, but so we have resources for all on the Circle K website. Just remember Circle K to there we go.
Okay, so if you go to our resources page, you can, we've installed a paywall basically. So basically you will need to enter in your member ID now, but you can go to any of these tabs and find it, or like you would click on the leader section. You could type in elections and we'll send a link on about this as well. But we have a club elections toolkit available. And so that basically includes everything from an election planning timeline to an election script, and to officer installment and retirement script. So as you are transitioning to officers, that's certainly a tool that you can use. So again, we will be sure to put that on in the Facebook advisors group as well, a link to this directly.
Do you want to show off the, I don't know if it's too complicated for you. Do you want to show off the club president certificate?
Yes.
There we go.
So something else we're doing for the first time this year, all of your district governors and your district administrators will be receiving this in the mail, or in the mail via email. And this is a fillable PDF that we're going to be having them give to your club presidents as they transition out of their roles. So this is again a certificate that we'll be doing electronically this year, and again something we haven't done in the past. But again, please be looking for that as you retire your outgoing club presidents.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. So just before we move into our discussion, does anyone have any questions about any of the updates or anything?
Hey Kyle, this is not really an update as much, but quick question. Can you put in the chat the Facebook group for the advisors, so those who are not already members can simply click on it?
Yep. Sam's
Thank
got
you.
it. Yeah, Sam.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so we just to kind of clarify too, we have a Facebook group, as Jeff and Leo mentioned, that we talk about, send updates in, talk about these calls. It's a great opportunity to connect with other advisors as well. Anyone have any other questions?
Oh, and I would also ask too, for those people that are already in the group, if you know an advisor that is not currently in this group, when you get added, please feel free to add them to this because they might not know it exists. So just hit the invite button as soon as you get put in this group.
Awesome. So in the name of club elections, like we were talking about with our resources, our first discussion question tonight, what are you doing to prepare your club for elections?
Please unmute yourself. We'd love to hear from you and start a conversation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian. I'm the advisor of the University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg, Circle K in Pennsylvania. And we came into the school year in a unique situation, as I'm sure many did, because we didn't have all of our officer positions filled. Last year was, we were active, but not nearly as active in membership as we had hoped to be. So we had a president who resigned partway through the year last year. So it was a little kind of crazy for us. So I guess the first thing that we did by necessity is that 3 of our officers are freshmen or new transfer students. So we've got some really young people in the pipeline right now. It made it for a really challenging fall semester. But as the semester has progressed, I realize it's going to set us up very nicely for next year.
Thank you, Brian.
I got some really helpful information from a Texas-Oklahoma district meeting, and they suggested that we never allow a senior to be a CKI president to keep from having troubles at the end when they are leaving. And that actually happened to us this last year. Our president ended up being a senior because everybody was leaving and all we had were freshmen, and we were afraid to let them in as officers. And he didn't do a good job training at the end because he had senioritis. So I have to agree with that assessment.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, this is Sarah Zoett. I'm a governor of Pennsylvania, also a Circle K advisor to Drexel University and Kiwanis Advisor. So a lot of things going on. For our group, we've been pretty good at starting them in sophomore year, getting them into leadership roles. And we make sure the officers, we always have every year, the job descriptions, that's a huge thing because incoming members don't know the responsibilities for each of these officers. So we ensure that we get them those descriptions. We will probably start that process when they come back. We're a quarter system, so we are done. So January 4th, we come back, January 3rd, we come back to our term. So they'll start that process of when the elections will happen and give them the job descriptions and start talking about it. We usually have a session, a K-family session with them saying, here's the roles, and kind of answer any of their questions. So we're consistently prepping them for our in our second term of the year. Usually that's when they elect. So documentation is key for them.
This is Hope, the Kiwanis Advisor for Sam Sharp Teachers College. For the Kiwanis Club of Hopewell, of which I'm a member. We went ahead with what Angela said. We actually have all first-year students as the leaders of the club. And, first year, as you know, is always very challenging, but rewarding, can be rewarding also. So I'm actually going to recommend to the team that they keep the team together for another year, because they do have the time and they definitely need more training.
Yeah. So any other ideas or comments, or how did your club, prepare your club for elections?
This is Jay Baden from WVU Potomac State. Everyone else who has talked is from a four-year school, and it's so, you have your challenges and your occasional issues where you have seniors or freshmen in the positions, but when you're in a two-year school, everybody's essentially a senior or a freshman. They're either first year or second year, and that's all we have. And so a lot of the students, either they join as freshmen and they're not really ready for leadership, or they don't join the club till sophomore year because they don't realize they need service hours. So they join their sophomore year and then they're gone. And we had the same problem the year before COVID. Last year we were inactive, but the year before COVID, we had a sophomore in there. He was really gung-ho. And then he transferred to another school after fall semester, and we had nobody. So, and our vice president didn't step up. So I certainly sympathize with those of you who are having trouble with either freshman or senior issues, but can anybody tell me what you do? Is anyone a two-year school advisor who could offer that perspective?
Or I call you, Joey. Is anyone a two-year? Yeah. So to ask Jay's question, is anyone here a two-year school advisor that's had success with elections?
I am. The name is Dora Henry. I'm from St. Lucia, South Louis Community College. We do have 2 years. And what I do, I ensure that my president, well, most times the president is a second year, and my VP is always a first year student. So in the event that something happens with the president, she or he could step up to the plate. I don't normally have many issues because I have a set of students who are always excited to take up the challenge. So I don't really encounter many issues. So I ensure that I have a good mix with first years and second years in the leadership roles.
I just want to add real quick that this isn't specific to 2 or 4 year schools. I advise a few other student organizations at my university, and in my experience, when it comes to elections and identifying club officers, 2 of the things that have really worked for me is using the language early in the year that I want my current officers to be able to replace themselves. And if they feel some ownership in that, that can help a lot. And so I don't shy away from that language. I want my officers to know that there's going to come a time when you're not in your role. And so I want you to try to help identify someone to replace you. And the other thing I think that's really helpful, or has been helpful for me, is that I don't shy away from that either. If I see a student that I think has potential, I tell them like, hey, when elections come up, I think you should run for X, Y, or Z. And I think some advisors shy away from that because they don't want to be seen as showing favoritism or kind of being biased. But for me, that opens up someone's potential when they hear it from a responsible adult that they could do the role. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Brian, are you a faculty / staff advisor or Kiwanis advisor?
I'm both. I am kind of like Sarah. I'm a Kiwanian, but I also work at the university. So I'm the assistant director of housing at our university. So I'm on the student affairs side.
So you have a closer association with the students themselves?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay, as opposed to a Kiwanis advisor who would not necessarily have that close association.
Yeah, I guess I should have clarified that. That's one of the unique things about my role is that I'm in both positions, Kiwanis advisor and staff advisor.
Okay, thank you.
I want to touch too on Brian real quick.
Hey, everybody. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Oh, Brian, put you. Yeah, go, Brian.
This is Brian on Joseph Giordano's phone. We're actually road tripping to Green Bay, Wisconsin, so I apologize, and we're kind of splitting over a couple of different screens here. But so one thing I wanted to add is that we actually created at Stockton University, I developed a new non-voting board position. And so what that position does is it's like an executive in training. And so part of what we did is that the position needs to be someone who is not graduating the following academic year. So right now we're in 21-22. So the person that was selected for the position is going to be at Stockton for 22-23. And what the position does is it allows someone who didn't end up being on the e-board through either they didn't get voted in or they just weren't ready to run, they can opt to apply to be this non-voting executive in training position. And what we did was by designing this person, they get to go to e-board meetings and see what it's like. They get to see what the decision process is, and they get to get a real feel for what it's like to be on an executive board, work with the advisor, work with the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, editor. And the idea behind when I created this position was you start to create almost a farm system, if you would. You start to create some kind of a position that would end up inheriting, not necessarily running and winning, but someone who can run and say, look, I've spent the last year learning the rules and roles and what it looks like, and I feel confident that I can be one of the board positions. Now, this position can end up being a secretary, treasurer, editor, vice president, president, but what it really has done, one, it provides your e-board and you as an advisor another brain, some more thinking process, and someone else who can help facilitate things. But two, and more importantly, for some of those schools that maybe have a strong year than 1 year and you're worried about the next year, it gives you at least one person who's been around and knows how to be an e-board member. Because for me, all 5 of my positions are graduating this year, but my executive board and training position is someone who will be here next year. So even if they don't end up running, there's someone who can provide some kind of guidance from that student perspective. If that's something anyone's interested in, I'd be more than happy to shoot an email to them if they let me know, and provide them with how I set that up, the language and all that stuff too.
Thank you, Brian. Kingsley?
I'm sorry, good evening all. I'm trying to get my hand down. It was raised coming into the meeting. I'm trying to get...
I got you. Or, yeah, can the host lower the hand, please? Thanks. Anyway, so does anyone have any more, ideas or thoughts about club elections and supporting clubs in elections? Awesome. So our next question.
Can I just add that usually our school is very small and our club is small and we have trouble finding even 15 members. And so usually we're lucky if we find one person willing to do each position and being officers. We almost never have an actual election where we have runoff between candidates. It's like whoever is willing to do the job, and they're not always the most suited for the job, but they do require a bit more training and intervention from me, the advisor, but it can be very rewarding if those students who you can see the potential and guide them toward this leadership. But it's not always a good fit because you're lucky you get anybody to be an officer sometimes. And they don't know what they're in for, even if you try to discuss what the positions entail ahead of time.
Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. This is Tom DiGiulio, advisor to the Circle K Club at Fordham University for 51 years. I never left Fordham University after I left Circle K. But first of all, thank you on behalf of Kiwanis International. Jeff, I'm sure you've done this too, to thank you for all your service to our wonderful program of CKI. But I just wanted to comment about scholarships, how that might be used to, at least in the Jay's situation with community college and where they get senioritis in the second year, that maybe it's an opportunity, since I think that the Circle K International scholarship applications need to be filed in March, sometime around that time, if I'm correct on that, but I think it's coming up in the next several months. But since that coincides with reaching out to those who maybe, whether they're seniors or not, to remind the students that applications should be reviewed, and I think are signed by the advisors and by the Kiwanis Club too, so that it's a way of letting the students know, and I'm not sure many of our Circle K students know, that there are opportunities both on the international level and the district level, many districts at least, that we should just way to connect. It's a way to connect at this important time in the school year and the Circle K year. And so Jeff, maybe there's going to be some announcement, reminders about deadlines and things of that sort.
Yeah.
We as advisors can pass along to our current Circle K membership.
Yeah, if you go, it's actually in our newsletter that came out to yesterday, Wednesday. And then if you go to our website, Circle K, our website, it's on the banner. It's a link to the applications. And I think the scholarships are February, Sam, is that right? February 1st? Yeah, the scholarships are due February 1st. So they're open now. So as you said, Tom, any member can apply for them. So yeah, that's a great selling point.
Thank you, Tom and Jeff. Anyone have any other thoughts on elections? Okay, we're going to move on to our next question. So one thing that we've been talking about a lot on the international level is club projects, club signature service projects, and really what you all do as clubs in terms of service. So my next question for you all is, what is one signature service project that your club does? I'll put it in the chat. Go, Brian.
I will. I'll jump in real quick. And ours has become an annual Easter egg hunt for our community. We get a couple hundred kids that come, and we do it right on our college campus where we have nice big open lawns. And the last time we were able to do a traditional one, I think we had 6,000 eggs. They're really, which is a feat for our group because we're a pretty small club at a very small school. But we were able to do it last year. We did a drive-through egg hunt, and it worked really well. So, but I will say we're looking forward to trying to go back to a traditional one this year.
That sounds awesome with the Easter egg hunt. Joey / Brian. But you know.
Yeah, we're here. Hold on.
All
Sorry.
right, sorry about that. We're
There we go.
making this work, you people. Sorry about that. So one of the things that we've done over at Stock University is we're actually involved in a bunch of different community things, but our favorite one I think is pretty much a tie between, we have a senior assisted living center that's really close, and we do twofold. One, we will create different door decks that the seniors that are living at the facility can pick through and pick one to hang on their doors, and the facility allows us to put that stuff out there. And then they, every holiday we're putting them up there, Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, spring, like all that different things. Halloween, we'll put it out there, fall. And they take a lot of pride in getting to pick whatever one they think is the best. And then another thing we do is we will weekly go, and we started by meeting with the seniors during a scheduled time and said, look, what's something you'd like to see here? And so what we ended up doing was they all said, okay, we'd like to play blackjack. And then recently we switched to bingo and different things like that. And so it was kind of a twofold, and we got to build that relationship with them. So we're actually doing 2 service projects where one of them we're making, how do you do it? By building, by making these wreaths and things like that, their door decks, they get to be able to do that for them. And then when they go and visit and facilitate different, like, whether it's poker that night or blackjack or trivia, it allows us to really get to know the seniors that are living at the facility and really get to connect.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brian. And then just in the chat too, James says, Colorado Mesa has a project that does Project Linus, creating local blankets, and they've gotten publicity for it. Brian also says mini service project bi-weekly club meetings to, and it brings different variety. Does anyone have any other projects that your club does?
I'll chime in. Floyd Adams, University of Central Florida, Florida District. I'm their Kiwanis Advisor and also the Citrus Division Advisor for Florida. Our club does, our CKI club works with the Kiwanis Club and our other SLPs, and they do every other month we do a road cleanup. We have 1 mile of road next to the university. We'll meet up around 8 o'clock at the Steak and Shake, and the county will come with all the stuff that we need, bags, the blazers and the pickers and everything, and we'll split up. Half will go half a mile the other way. One group will go the other half mile the other way, and then go up to the top and finish there and then come back. And we do it almost every other month and on. It's good turnout, and between everybody, including our Kiwanis Club and SLPs, we get about 30, 40 people all together. So, and we get done with about maybe an hour, hour and a half, depending on the people we got. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Floyd. Is there any other projects?
We Circle K at Potomac State has every year, except for the last 2 years because of COVID, but in the spring, we partner with a laboratory in Pennsylvania, and they come down and offer a blood screening. Basically, people can get 40 different blood tests done for $40 for people who don't have health insurance or a way. And the lab basically cuts out the middleman and does the testing and sends the results to the doctor and to the patient. And they give us a certain cut of the income from that. And we make so it's one Saturday morning, about 3 hours plus set up the day before to set up tables and chairs and things, and blood testing stations. And then it's one morning, and we made $700 some from that, from one morning. And this lab, apparently they have they have personnel, and they travel around, and in the good weather months, they basically just travel all around the area around Pennsylvania and states to the south, and just go to different locations, different towns, and they make a lot of their profit from doing those local outreach sessions.
Thank you, Jay. Is there any other projects they'd like to share?
There are some coming in the chat as well.
And just a couple, I'll read the couple in the chat here. So the Hardin, oh, we got another one. The Hardin Simmons CKI packs food care packages for homeless people in Abilene several times during the semester. And then Joey G says, at my community college, we collect canned tabs from Ronald McDonald House and bring them over to them every 6 months. We have multiple drop boxes with our names all around the college. It's a small project, but we're known on campus for it, and it gets our name out there. And I think this is a really important point as we end off this discussion. A project is awesome, just because it gets back to the community, but if it gets recognition and makes your club known on campus, not only is that a great impact on your community, that's a free recruitment tactic right there. They see the CKI club on all the trash cans around campus, or they see the Ronald McDonald tabs. They're gonna associate service on campus with CKI, and the second they need a service hour, they're gonna be coming to your doorstep at your club meeting. And I also want to promote here too, just throw an international plug in here. We have our signature service project awards. The deadline for the awards was April 15th, and they come out in January. I strongly encourage all of your clubs to apply. It's a really great opportunity for us to recognize clubs, on international. And I think for other clubs too, it's great for them to see projects that work well on different campuses, so they get a feel of kind of what projects they should pursue in the future. So if you want to see your club's project really done by other clubs, I strongly encourage you to apply.
Yeah, just as a background, as members of Kiwanis, you're familiar with Kiwanis, the signature project contest they do. We're replicating that for the first time. We'll be doing this to recognize CKI projects. So these are projects that happen year after year. And so it will be judged by both the members of the Kiwanis International Board of Trustees, as well as our Board of Trustees at CKI. So again, a new award, a new contest for us. So again, we highly encourage your clubs that are doing all these great projects we're reading about and hearing about to apply. And as Kyle said, they'll be out in January.
Jeff, can I also add, we've already had some people ask us if you did a project, like we know COVID has prevented some clubs from doing their signature projects. So again, like everybody's been saying, a signature project is something that your club does year after year. It's not a new project that you just started this year. If your club was unable to do it within the past 2 years, that's okay. And we know, unfortunately, that causes some problems, leadership turnover. But if this is a project that you did before, and continue to do, just miss those last 2 years, you still absolutely can apply.
Awesome. Thank you all. And now for our next question. So we've talked a lot about international convention. We've talked about, your district convention, which are all coming up in March, and then obviously international in July. As an advisor, how do you go about securing funding from either your Kiwanis club or your school for these events? I'll put that in the chat too. Anyone have any strategies for securing funding or ways that they've been successful in the past?
Our student government is, I won't say generous, but they generally support these sorts of initiatives, at least partially. The Kiwanis Club does not typically support the convention, not because they don't want to, but I think, the question has never been asked. We usually do like for our members to have a small, stake in the game. So whether that's $25 or whatever it looks like, we do want the member to have a little bit of a stake. But honestly, it's kind of your traditional fundraising. It's a little bit of support from school, support from the, contribution from the student, and also support from their own kind of small fundraisers. I think for us right now, the struggle isn't so much the funding as much as it is, I don't have any students who've experienced the district convention right now. And so as the advisor, I'm really trying to push that connection with the district to a group who has never had it or known what it's been like. That's my struggle right now, not money.
So let me just ask a follow-up question here for everyone. Like Brian mentioned, a lot of members now have been virtual their whole experience. how do you promote district convention or international convention to them? You know, how do you get them to come, and how do you get them to buy in? So, have any thoughts?
Good night, everyone. I'll take the first question and then the second one. So for us at Caribbean Maritime in Jamaica, our Kiwanis Club is extremely supportive, even with things like district convention, international convention. And so we always get funding from them, whether it's partial sponsorship or they are paying for actual persons to go. And then sometimes what is done is if we're doing a fundraiser, they'll provide the startup cash that we would need so that we make a full profit, and sometimes they still give us back. We get to keep the capital and keep using that capital for further fundraising to help offset some of those costs. Another thing we'll do is we will, as a part of marketing it pre-COVID and even now, we would encourage our student members to be competitive. So maybe it's the person who brings the most recruits, you will get your decon fee paid in full. And that's usually covered by either the club, or sometimes I, as a faculty advisor or a Kiwanis advisor, will offset those expenses as well, just as a means of motivating the students to really do something like this. For us this year, the governor is from our home club, and that alone is motivation to really get them to really go out and support the governor, because then it wouldn't look so wonderful if the governor's home club is not really showing out at Deacon, right? But other than that, they do have their creative ways of making it competitive and leading up to it. And so students are engaged, we're showing memories from the years previous. We're talking about what happened with the various clubs for the houses for the sports day, and just the stories that are shared, the testimonials that are shared really helps to push it. And a big push that we got the other day here in the Caribbean district was that our governor and the lieutenant governor as well were featured on a local television station talking about Circle K and what we do out here. And so stuff like that will help to get others engaged.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then just to read in the chat, Dora said, I normally write to the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports and the National Lotteries Authority for sponsorship. We have cake sales, barbecues, raffles, etc. So anyone have any other ways that they secure funding for these events?
So this is Angela with Circle K in Abilene, Texas, Hardin-Simmons University. And our Kiwanis Club, like Gaze, is very supportive of our Circle K club. And we make sure each semester that the students come and personally thank all of our members to make sure that they know how much they appreciate the support. I think that's important, but also they tell the members what projects they're doing. And I think that personal interaction is what keeps our Kiwanis Club wanting to support the CKI students every semester.
Awesome, thank you, Angela.
I'll chime in. UCF Circle K, our Kiwanis Club, East Orange County, which is our sporting club. We actually budget money in our budget every year for the school. So we part of the money that goes towards the dues, and then the rest goes towards the conventions. And then we encourage them to do the 1/3 program, where we'll give 1/3 of the money. They try to get it from the school, and then the others from the school funding of the school, and then they pay the other part. One good thing about our school, though, UCF, there are about 3 or 4 Kiwanis clubs in the 20-mile radius area. So they actually go out and present themselves to those clubs to ask for extra help and funding and everything. So they'll go out to their dinners or lunches and present themselves and let them know what convention is, what the money's for, and they usually get a couple $100 from each of the clubs. So
thank you, Floyd. Does anyone remember other ways?
Quick question. I've been a Key Club advisor for a number of years, and I'm new at this Circle K, but funding was always, part of administrative funding and service funding. And if you raised money for a service project, you couldn't use it for administrative. So I'm not sure where if you're going to a convention or something, which side of the coin does that money come out of? Or does the Circle K still have that same description?
Yeah, I think as long as I think you just have to be, honest in what you fundraise for. And Jeff, you can hop in here too.
Yeah.
The administrative side.
Yeah, I believe, and I'll follow up on this, but I believe that it could come out of either pot, because it's a donation from one entity to the other. And I think it also has to do with if the Circle K has their own bank account, that's an easier transfer. But some Circle Ks share a bank account or have like a subgroup of the Kiwanis sponsoring club. So that would matter too. But I can follow up on that. As I recall, and there may be other people on the call who have had this experience in the past, but I think Thomas, I see you raising your hand, Tom.
Yeah, Jeff, just to cut to the chase, we call our programs the service leadership programs. We are building service leaders. So we haven't had any difficulty justifying our service account, provided it's done properly with proper notice, and those that are going to these conventions have demonstrated their commitment to the organization, to the Circle K, and have demonstrated doing service. So I don't think we're going to have any problem with justifying using service funds for sponsoring Circle K members to go to a district or Circle K international convention.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all. And then just for a final question, we'll wrap it up here. So I like to do this with the governors. We have a monthly governor forum with all the district governors, just to have a similar discussion like we're having now. And I always like to end it with something called a rose, a thorn, and a bud. So a rose is something positive that's happened in the past couple months. A thorn is something negative, and then a bud is something that you're looking forward to. So, something positive that's happened in your club or, in your role as advisor, something negative that's happened or something that you wish you could change, and then a bud being something positive. I know it's cheesy, but I beg Jeff to so we could do this. So hopefully it goes well. So just no need to raise hands. Whoever wants to start, and we'll just kind of go around, and that's how we'll end. Would anyone like to start? Wow, everyone's shy tonight.
This is Hope. The thorn, I would say, is the staff advisor is no longer at the school. So we are actually looking for one right now. I guess the bud would be, we're looking forward to having a staff advisor. And the rose would be, as I said, it was a fairly young group, and I made an attempt to have a fundraiser for Halloween. And they worked very hard at it, and I was very impressed with their tenacity. So I look forward to continue working with them.
Thank you, Hope.
You're welcome.
Would anyone like to go next?
Hello, next.
Go ahead.
Floyd Adams, UCF. Let's see, something that's positive happened. I'm just glad that the club's coming out, from this whole COVID thing. even though it's partially online and partially in person this past semester, we're at least got up to at least 12 members now. They're still getting more. Something that's negative, again, right now, it's negative right now because the summer it's still online now, but getting everything back on in person and all, and I think getting them active more in person and getting them to know each other, not through a computer anymore, will be a great thing. And then something that we're looking forward to next semester, our current president, who's our past lieutenant governor for Kiwanis, she is also a advisor with me. And actually, she used to work at the college and then stepped away because of having a kid and then family and all for a bit. But we just found out she is going back to the college, and we think we do have a staff advisor there, but I got to double check. If not, she said she'll step into the position. So at least we'll have a Kiwanis advisor and a staff advisor, both from the actual sponsoring Kiwanis Club.
That's great news. Who would like to go next?
All right, so the roles for us is that we've pretty much met all of our goals that we've set this year, except about 3 already. What we're looking forward to are the continued creative ways in which the executive continues to engage the club. So like they're having, in Jamaica, we have Grand Market the night of Christmas Eve. So something like that is normally physical. Persons are out and about, going to the shops and so on. And for us, we move it online. They get students who have their own small businesses to sponsor. And so people can still win prizes. They're doing a little Pixie edition this year for Christmas as well. So I'm looking forward to how they continue to engage the membership in really creative ways online. And the thorn would be, those who would have lost loved ones this year.
Awesome. I know Joey G, you've been meaning to unmute, so you can go ahead now.
Hey everyone, Brian Stockton on Joey G's thing. So I guess the rows would be, we just had our holiday party, and we had, it's been really, it's tough with getting people together and finals and stuff, but we had 50 members come out for the holiday party and take some time off from studying to just kind of come together and just enjoy and celebrate the things that we've done so far this year. And so it was really awesome because we missed last year, and it was just great to see everyone really enjoying themselves together a little bit. I'd say the thorn would be that, we've had a couple, bumps along the road getting our stuff started back up. Some of the regular service projects we usually do, like the rescue mission, has not resumed in-person stuff yet, really. And, just trying to, pivot from some of that has been kind of hard for the e-board, but, they're making it work. And I think the bud would be that position that I was talking about, that we created the executive in training. I had an amazing conversation with her this week, and she expressed to me that she's really, really grateful that she had this position because she feels like she's so much more confident, ready to be a leader. She feels like it's really something that's really grown on her, and she's really excited and looks forward to running. She looks forward to caucusing. She looks forward to getting badgered with questions about what she thinks she can bring to the e-board. And that was just really exciting because when you make something, you really hope that it's going to blossom. And I feel like we're on the precipice of that really working. So thanks for the time, and thank you everyone who puts this meeting together.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Tom, would you like to go?
Well, President Kyle, I don't see the distinction between the thorn and the bud when it comes to roses, because I've been working on a Rose Hill campus for 50 years. But we all, I think, first think of when we think of the thorn, it's COVID, and has diminished our ability to meet face to face with our Circle K members, and lessen to some degree the number of projects that they've been doing. But the bud is the fact that we've had more Circle Kers attend our Kiwanis meetings as a result of the Zoom process. As much as we love and hate it, just like lawyers, we love and hate them. Like I've heard that many times. But you know, the fact that they are participating more, because our Kiwanis members cannot get to the Circle K meetings on the campus, but we are still seeing the faces of our Circle K members on Zoom and able to communicate better and more regularly with them. And especially when they have seen in recent days, our Kiwanis Club has attracted past members of Fordham Circle K. So our Fordham Kiwanis that sponsor gets them together. So I think we have to say we still have hope that we can get through the difficulties and find the consolation and doing what we have always done in Kiwanis and Circle K is do things for others.
Thank you, Tom. Would anyone else like to share?
Our at Potomac State, our secretary is a member of a couple other clubs as well. She's and she, even though our president is someone else, she's kind of the behind the scenes motivator for our group, and she's been awesome. Her name's Darcy, and she's really the energy of the club right now. And she initiated a project where we're writing Christmas cards and sending foodstuffs to service members overseas that can't be home for Christmas. And that project's gotten our members really excited and involved.
Thank you, Jay. Would anyone else like to share?
Yes, I would like to.
Go, Dora.
So at Sir Arthur Lewis Community College, the rules is that we have upped our membership to over 30 new members, and we were able to leverage the technology. I mean, although students had major challenges with the virtual platforms, but I had no issues with meetings. I found that students were very excited about joining meetings, and we had a virtual fair, and I think I had over 50 persons within that time who were interested in joining Circle K, SLCC Circle K Club, among many clubs at the college. For me, the fun was that we're not back in the physical as yet. Our students are not back at school. So it's a challenge to do a lot of the fundraising, although we're trying to do so virtually, but I would really like them to be back in the physical building. And the Bud, we're having our induction of new members. So I'm looking forward to having that. It's happening on the 19th of December. So I'm looking forward to having that and looking forward to the students getting back to the physical college in January.
Thank you, Dora. Now just to end it off here, does anyone have any questions that we can answer? Any thoughts, anything on your mind? Feel free to share. This is an open forum.
Yes, I do. I was wondering if CKI would consider, for instance, a new club or members are starting out as maybe satellite members of a club to learn, you know, of a club that of an established club to just learn a bit from that club, and then finally breaking off on their own, because I think a visual experience will have a lot more reward than, you know, us standing there and telling them what it is all about and everything. It's an idea I thought about. Maybe you're doing it already, I don't know, but I thought about that.
So we have, it's in our bylaws. that there can be satellite clubs. Jeff, do you know how many clubs are actually doing that?
It's relatively new. So Hope, we started this about maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now. And so what would happen is in a community where you might have a 4-year institution and a 2-year institution, or they could be 2 4-year institutions. You have an established club at one institution. Those members on the other campus can become a member of that other institution for a period of 2 years. And then in that 2 years, we hope that they spin off into their own club. But they would just be added to the roster of the host school, if that makes sense. And we can send you information on that if you'd like. But yeah, that we certainly allow that and encourage that as well.
Okay, I'm gonna put my email address in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other questions?
I did have one question, and I was talking to somebody at one of our Kiwanis events this past weekend. I know, again, with the whole everything going on in society right now, but we were talking about I went to the '98 convention, which was in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, and I know we've gone to at least Canada and all, but is there talk in the future about possibly going to another like Caribbean island or something for an international convention, or like is it on the agenda down the road maybe?
So this is that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think it's on the table certainly. So because of COVID, you know, we had contracts that we couldn't fulfill because those, you know, the last couple of conventions were canceled. So this year we're obviously going to be in Austin, Texas. Then next year we'll be in Las Vegas, and that's because we were supposed to be in Las Vegas 2 years ago. And then after that, we have no more contracts. So we can that'll be our open window. One of the things that the last couple of boards and this board has discussed is would it be more worthwhile to our members to have our international convention always with the Kiwanis convention, which the year after that would be Denver. And the thinking there would be, you know, CKI can't draw in the big speakers, you know, because of cost. But when we align with the Kiwanis convention, like this last year, we joined that and Salt Lake City, and we had access to Sully Sullenberger and some of their great speakers. So, but at the same time, you potentially lose that, right? Because you're not the big fish in the pond, so to speak, in the city. So anyway, that's a long way of saying that, yeah, after next year's convention, we're gonna have to make a decision in the next year about where we go. And, you know, I'm certainly not opposed. I think we've done one in Canada, in Montreal might have been the last one that we've done. And I know that Kiwanis is, again, with COVID, they've been around, they're looking at doing one in the Philippines as well. So, I mean, there are some opportunities there, and, you know, I don't know if it'd be cost prohibitive to our students, but I think that's a good question and a good discussion we should probably all have.
Yeah, because I know, like, you know, Bahamas is right here, and Bermuda and all, and, you know, those other islands and everything. And all. And I know that when I went to the convention in Jamaica, it was a good turnout actually. So,
Yeah.
So, but you know, I know it's been a while since we've been, and then like I said, with society now. But I was just curious if maybe a discussion had been talked about yet.
I love the idea.
Me too.
Well, you know, we generally have about you know, 300 to 400 members. You know, I love to, obviously we're really trying to drive the cost down. It's not 100% locked in yet, but what we think the registration will be for this year's convention in Austin is $250 for registration for the event. And then hotels are, I believe, and Sam, maybe you can help me remind me, Samantha, I think the hotel rooms is it $169 per night? She'll look it up real quick. But then you could, you know, put 4 in a room, you know, to cut costs down for students. And the airline tickets to Austin, at least we're going in January to take the board for our board meeting there. And at least, again, you know, depends on where you're coming from, of course, but they're under $200 for round trip tickets to Austin. So again, we're hoping we can generate a larger crowd this time because it's more affordable. Go ahead, Sam. Oh, okay.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's $169 a night, and tax might fluctuate a little bit, but that's with tax, just depending if it changes a little bit. And like Jeff said, I can't reiterate it enough. I just booked the board's travel for our Austin board meeting, and then the prices were wonderful. Like I've booked our flights for the past 5 years, and this is the lowest I've seen for a place like consistently. The most expensive one we had, other than the Caribbean, in such a short time, but we bring some from Appleton, Wisconsin, and it was like $350. So the prices we found all around have been great.
But yeah, back to your question, Jay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it, and I think we obviously need to lock that next one in. And if you all are open to, Caribbean or non-US location, yeah, we're all for it.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other questions? Any thoughts? Awesome. Well, on that note, everyone have a great night. Thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you at the next call.
Thank you.
Thank
Sleep
you.
well, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for a great job.
Have a good night.
Good
Yeah,
night.
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good night. Bye.
Have a good night, all.
Good night, everyone. Thank you from Nassau, Bahamas.